Okay, we're back on our live stream show. You guys, if you're checking for the sound and stuff, please let me know. Quick text, man, or Shindy. Let me know everything is okay. It's good to be back today. We had a guest yesterday. Today we don't have a guest, so you'll be listening to me ramble on. I'm back again about Qualped Life. What Qualped Life is all about. Okay. How's everybody doing? I hope I'm getting starting to generate some fans and people are joining us and, wishing us well as we launch out on this endeavor. We are in our second week of the live streaming show, the Qualped Life talk show, which is live streamed across YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, which is Periscope, LinkedIn, different places. I'm still learning how to deal with all the platforms. I know Facebook and YouTube, so on our Facebook page, all our Facebook pages, the Qualped page, the Millionaire Mindset page, and Future Stars Media Enterprise, but also my personal Facebook profile account, I guess. I share the video every now and again, and YouTube, of course, I know how to deal with, but the other sites I have to learn them. I don't know, one day. But anyway, here we are today, and today we don't have a guest, of course. Yesterday we had an amazing guest, Croydon, who is a professional musician and did a really good job, I think, in talking to us about his life and his career and what being a Canadian is all about in this day and age. So here we are today. So here's what's going on. I had a couple of people. I said to them. I reached out to people online and I said to them, watch our live streaming show. It's daily. Of course, everybody's saying to me. In fact, one of the company shareholders just called and said, Sean, this thing is an hour long and it's too much. People don't have an hour in their day, which I agree. An hour is a long time to sit and watch a live streaming show, especially strange ideas, which, one of my things is, Sean is up, it's strange ideas. And so, I get the point, that we don't want to do a show and it's all boring and nobody's watching it for an hour. The goal of the show, however, I'm going to stick with the hour because I believe we promise you, the people who connect with us, substance. We promise you something that is not shallow, that is absolutely of substance, and we aim to deliver on that. Okay. So we want the show to be substance and we're building up. I know right now we don't have a big audience and those of you who are watching me, I really appreciate it. And hopefully one by one we will add people as we go along. But we're not ready to ramp up yet. When we're ready to offer like our courses publicly and have our ebooks, including my own books as Sims books, ready, then we'll really ramp up our advertising. We do promote it on social media. In sponsored posts on Facebook and Instagram, not YouTube as yet. But we'll ramp up the promotion as we go along. But I was saying, so I reached out to some people. I said, watch the show. Let me know what you think, and I would appreciate it if certain people I would feel good if they watch the show. Plus, I want to share with people that I respect and admire. And so some people said to me, well, one of the feedback is the show is too long, which I respect and I agree. But given the goal of the show, which is to build up a body of content over, say, for the rest of this year, we'll have 50, 60 shows, listed videos of an hour long each, listed on YouTube and on Facebook and on our website, and we'll have that kind of content. So along with videos and with ebooks, by the end of the year we'll have a tremendous amount of deep, really inspiring, hopefully, but really definitely deep, substantial content of substance, not shallow stuff. And so I said to my friends that I reached out to and said, watch the show, and they were saying, well, what's the show is all about? And we've been talking about the show and what it's all about, how we set out to be unique. Because no use doing something where we're duplicating what is going on out there already, right? We gotta do something different. We gotta originate. We gotta do something, invent something that is fresh and real. That's how we connect with people. We want to give you something that you don't already have. We want to create something that we do not see in the world. If it's there, I'm happy it's there, and we wouldn't do it. But if it's not there and we see the need for it, we would go and do it, right? If you see that somebody said if you want to read a book and the book doesn't exist, write the book yourself and publish it, right? So that's what we're doing. The books that we want to see, they're not out there, and so we're writing those books, and the show that we want to see, the kind of communication, the kind of conversation that we want to see happening on the world stage, in this global village in this 21st century, it's not happening, right? Now a lot of great conversations are happening. I love listening to amazing people have conversations, including Oprah and Nichols and all these people, Jim Rohn and all these people. So, but we want to add, we have something to add to the global consciousness, and this is what we're about. So I want to answer my few friends who said to me, give me a reason, a good reason to watch the show. And it's not about convincing people to watch the show. We want to do that. We don't want to do that. We want you to, the words that you hear from us, if you connect with us, then we're a go, right? But we're not going to go out there and convince people and try to persuade people and all that. We don't believe in that kind of thing. You choose to come alongside us because the words that we say resonate with your heart, right? And so this show is, I know I keep going on about what this Qualped Life show is all about, this daily live streaming talk show. And of course, I don't say much about who I am. One of the reasons I'm very shy. But you can, my stuff is online. It's on our website at qualped.com, my bio. And of course, my name is Sean. It's there on the screen, host Sean Michael Sabaru. So you can check me out and make sure that, I'm somebody who has something of value to offer. If I don't have something of value to offer, then of course don't even listen to me. Don't have any, dealings with me. But if you think I have some value to offer, then let's connect and let's. So I really want to address the question which we've done for the past week and even last week, and for this week as well, which is why this show? Why are we launching a daily show? And it's quite an undertaking. It's quite a commitment. An hour a day, every evening, to come on live and speak. Deep stuff, not shallow stuff, not just entertain, but really edify and bring people to a new consciousness, a new awakening of the aspect of life, the perspective of life that we see and that we are passionate about. That's what we want to bring to you, right? We have an aspect or a part, how should I put it, a perspective of this thing we call being a human being. And our little slice of the cake is what we're putting out into the world, if that makes any sense. And so that's what we wanted to talk today. I want to talk to my people who I said, watch the show, and they say, well, tell us what the show is all about. Well, here, I'm gonna elaborate even further than we did for the past few videos, which you can all watch. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook. You can watch those videos. But today I want to elaborate a little bit more because we're gonna have guests, right? The show is gonna have a lot of guests. From tomorrow we have a guest, Friday we have a guest, Monday we have a guest. So one-on-one conversation could be happening, but not as much as now. So I want to lay out at the starting with the videos there. People can watch it at any time if they go back and look at it. At the reason we're doing this, why we're doing this show, the Qualped Life show, and what the Qualped Life is all about. Really today is what the Qualped Life is all about, right? Let me see, make sure my sound is okay. Shalene, everything is good? Mano, just send me a quick message. Let me know if everything is on track. Thank you. Yeah. So, we want to zero in. Okay, here is something I want to say. I really want to say this, and if you're watching this video recorded 6 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 years from now, this part of it I would like you to pay attention, right? So one of the persons who said to me, why should we watch the video, asked the question, which is a legitimate question that marketers ask a lot. They ask me this question a lot, which kind of makes me impatient, but it's a legitimate question and you shouldn't be impatient. The question is this: what is our market? What segment, what aspect of the global marketplace are we aiming our product to, right? I don't like that question because we don't believe in marketing, we don't believe in products, we believe we're engaging in relationship building, and we believe we have value and worth to offer, not just product. And we're not in the business of selling something. We're not in the business of marketing. We're in the business of building relationships and improving lives and bringing value and worth to you the same as you bring to me. That's why we surround ourselves with a certain type of people. People who don't fit into the type that we have, they themselves walk away. We never say no to people, but they walk away, which is fine because people align with what they resonate with, right? And who they resonate with. But here's what I want to say about what a qualified life is all about. I want to zero in on what, when we say qualified life, and we hope this becomes a viral thing all over the world. One day we're going to be hashtagging everywhere the qualified life, just like people say, Google this and Google that. We want to make popular the concept of a certain lifestyle, which we brand as the qualified life. And what a qualified life, here is what it is. And please pay attention to it, even if you're listening to this video recorded after, this live is over, or months from now, or years from now. There is a part, listen to this very carefully for me, please. It's not easy for me to articulate, so I really would appreciate it if you listen. There's a part of us as human beings that we aim at. So if the marketer is saying to us, what is your demographic? What is your market segment? Where do you want to see your messaging, your advertising, your promotional stuff? Who is it aiming at? Which is a legitimate marketing question back in the day in the industrial age when advertising was so big. We moved away from that, but I'm still going to answer the question. What is our demographic? Who are we targeting? What is the target in the, let's say you're throwing darts or something. What is the bullseye target that we're aiming for? It's a very legitimate question, and although I don't like the marketing aspect of it or the marketing language of it, I do appreciate the fact that we have to have some kind of a bullseye that we're aiming at. There has to be some kind of focus, right? Focal point, some kind of spot that we're steering at and say that's where we're going, that's our destination. And so here is where that destination is. Here is where that spot, that bullseye spot is, that target, what we're aiming at, if you will, our demographic or our target market. This is where it is. It's every human being. So I say that and people laugh and they say you can't market to every human being. Well, Facebook does and Google does and LinkedIn does and YouTube and every human being. What these solutions, they're not businesses, they're solutions. Facebook is not a business, it's a solution. Google is not a business, it's a solution. Apple even is not a business, it's a solution. Now business is a part of the solution because it has to be sustainable. Economics is one of the pillars that must drive things, but so is the good team behind it, so is the skill set, so is the vision that drives it, right? And the methodology of operating the solution, broadcasting it out into the world. Whatever solution you're offering humanity, it's a solution first and foremost that comes out of a vision, out of solving a common human problem, and then you fit it within because of the capitalist world that we live in, you fit it into the structure of a business, which is what we've done. So we have the qualified life as a solution to a common human problem, and this is the problem I want to bring up. This is our target audience, this is our bullseye, right? And we fit it into the company, the Qualified Life Corporation. In fact, we have 4 companies. So there's the Veritas Media, which owns Millionaire Mindset. We have the Qualified Life Corporation, which is the umbrella company, the group of companies, if you will. And then we have Sills Homes, which is a smart home company that we're hoping to bring smart technology to homes in the future as that segment of the economy unfolds. And then we have, of course, Future Stars Media Enterprise, which is the company that does this live stream. So we fit everything into companies' business structure because economics is important, but it's not the main thing. The main thing that we do is we offer humanity. We found there's a problem, nobody else is solving that problem, and so we developed a solution, which we call a qualified life. And the solution is what we're talking about today. What solution do we offer you? What is the problem we see? And the problem is we don't even know we have that problem, right? So based on looking into human behavior, the human being, coming out of the question that we ask constantly, which I repeated on the show several times over the past few days, what is possible with a human being? As a human being, what is really possible with me in terms of potential and what it means to be a human being? Out of asking that question, and of course, out of asking and delving into altering our future and living the design life, this whole idea came about that we face a problem, humanity, throughout human history, and there hasn't been a solution to it. And it's not a huge, massive problem. If we didn't do the solution, we didn't face this problem, it wouldn't make us any less than what we are today as a civilization. But remember when social media started up, Twitter and Facebook and all that, they zeroed in on a human problem, which is human connection across, states and nations and all of that. When Google started up, they solved a problem that we didn't know we had. And if Google goes away, or Facebook goes away, or Twitter goes away, there would still be a problem, like connection, for example, with social media. We wouldn't be able to connect if there was no social media platforms as much as we do now. And also with Google, all the solutions they offer, if they were to close down on Microsoft or Apple, it would all go away. But we would still continue life. We would still continue and be human beings and live. My point is that the solutions that we offer, and these big companies that they offer as well, the solution is to a human problem that founders, and I'm a founder, that's what I am, of the Qualped solution. Founders discover there's a problem there, like Elon Musk and all those guys, and say, you know what, let me tackle that problem. Does it need to be tackled? Maybe not. We can live another 1,000 years as humans without dealing with, electric cars and space and Neuralink and all those things that Musk is dealing with, or even Bezos at Amazon. We don't need those things. But they've changed the world, becoming billionaires and billion-trillion-dollar companies, because the solution that they offer is so, how should I say, it's so engaging to the human being, to the human nature, that everybody on the planet plugs into the solution that these guys offer, right? So we can elaborate on these things as we go along over the course of this show developing. For now, I just want to say that we have found such a problem, right? We have identified within human nature, within the human heart, within the human soul, each of us, each human being, each one of us, within our soul and our heart, here is where I'm going, and please listen to me carefully. I would really appreciate it, because I don't want it to pass over and gloss over and like go in the wind. I really want to plant some seeds in somebody's heart today and really connect with some people and let them know what we're setting out to do. In us, in each human being, we have human nature, right? Human nature is something that, like, how should I say it? It's the spirit of us. It's what in there in every human being. There's something called human nature. Human nature is the nature of us. It's how we behave, right? It's how naturally we will be. And naturally, in our heart, in somewhere, there's a seed in our soul. There's a seed in our soul. There's a seed buried in our heart. In every human being's heart, despite generation, despite age even, despite what nationality you're from, what religion, break all the walls down. Go purely on being a human being, right? Just on being a human being. Any human being, no matter what their condition or their situation, they have this seed in them. And what is this seed? What is this spark? What is this light that is buried deep inside of each human being? It is this seed, it is the light that says, I can achieve something bigger with my life. In our heart, we all dream. We all aspire. Like Peter Drucker came up with this thing, the aspiration is a big motivator of human behavior, the individual behavior. And of course, Maslow talked about self-actualization, and even Arthur Fry, professor at the University of Toronto, wrote about concerns that we have as human beings. So we have primary concerns, which are survival, and then we have secondary concerns, like helping our friends and developing family and all those things. And then of course on the higher level there's the tertiary concern, which is you want to give back to society, you want to do something great, you want to make something of your life, what Maslow called the the self-actualization gene, if you will, DNA that is embedded in us. And of course, Drucker called it the aspirational side of living. Now that's what we aim at. So we have seen this problem. This is the problem that we see with the qualified life. And I'm answering here my friends who said to me, "Oh, tell me why we should watch this show. What is so special about this show?" I believe it's a special show, and this is why. This is why. What we're saying here, not because of ego or anything, because we do a lot of work and we have a lot of substance to offer. And so what we're offering is that we want to really connect, we want to engage, we want to build a relationship with everybody that we talk to, everybody that we can have a conversation with. And we want to zero in deep into the heart, into the soul, where this faint, very small voice and very faint light, like a pilot light, it's there in every human being. How do I self-actualize? They don't use those words, but people, we dream, we want to do something great, we want to soar, we want to fly, we want to be like the eagle. Man developed the airplane because that was in our spirit. We need to fly. We can't just be trapped on the earth and gravity. And in every human heart, we want to fly. We want to soar. We want to achieve great things. At some point, you're lying in your bed, your quiet moment, you might be having a coffee, you might be having a breakfast, you might be driving, in those quiet moments. We, in prayer, especially in meditation, these things come to us. I wish, I dream. When Martin Luther talked about, I have a dream. It was more than just race relations and civil rights and all those things. It was the human heart lifting ourselves to a high, to a plateau. And remember, in the previous videos you would find, we won't deal with that here, but one of our base philosophy, one of the foundational philosophy of what we're doing is we believe in the individual. And we are talking to individuals, to person. We believe the individual is the brick that makes life, that makes society. And so we zero in on the individual. We only deal with individuals. We are not dealing with masses of people or groups of people. And in the individual heart, in the soul of every individual, in the spirit of an individual, is this spark, this little light that is in there in us, that cries out for something more out of this life. Now, the sad reality is, of course, that we have 7.8 billion people on the planet right now living on the earth, and billions who came before us. And most of those people have not achieved, or they don't even believe that they could achieve this desire, if you will. Is it a desire? I don't know if it's a desire. It's built into our DNA. It's embedded in us, in our very soul, that I want something more out of my life. I don't want just to exist. Now, most people end up doing that. They end up existing. They end up paying bills and getting sick and getting old and eventually dying. And most people just accept a mundane life, a mediocre life, a life that is just there. You're just there, just existing in apathy. But this little voice in us, this little thing in us is crying out and saying, deep in there, we bury it, of course, we numb ourselves. That's what we do. We numb, we go, I feel something and I go, I don't feel too happy, I feel, I need to, I go get alcohol or smoke or drugs or, even extend myself into technology or go be absorbed in some sport or some activity that I don't need to face myself. And then I bury this thing in me, this voice, this light that is crying for, expression, for self-expression. And we say, you know what, we can never do it, it's too hard. The world system, which indeed the world system doesn't encourage us to do that. The world system says to us, conform to everything, do your bit, and then pass your time. And when it's over, it's over. Retire and go your way. The world system says don't upset the apple cart, right? Don't you dare be creative. Don't you dare try to disrupt anything or innovate. And the ones who do, you ask any big company, any big founder who achieved anything, they had to fight the system. They had to fight the system, including Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, they have to go to court, they have to face lawsuits. Achievement on the earth is not easy. Nobody has achieved success without battling obstacles, with challenges. We believe in the individual, and we believe that in the individual, there is this little spark, this little pilot light. You know, it's coming on to winter, and people that would go to your basement in their houses, and they're in the furnace, there's a little light that you flick on. It's a little spark, and it lights up the furnace, and then you know you get heat in the house in the winter. That little pilot light is a metaphor I'm using to say we have that in us, but we're so scared of life, of the world system, of what people will say if we don't conform to how they live. That we stifle it. We stifle that genius that is in us. What Harold Bloom called the genius. He really calls it the demon, like the muse, the one who causes us that creative spark in us. That's what I'm talking about. So the qualped life, and this is what I want to say today. The qualped life, to those who said to me, why watch the show? The qualped life is solving that problem. So this is the problem we're solving. We've seen that in every human being, every single human being, man, child, woman, man, old, young, whatever color your skin is, whichever nationality you are, wherever you live in the world, there is this spark in you. If you're in Russia, if you're in India, Africa, China, Canada, the Caribbean, wherever you are from, Australia, New Zealand, wherever, there is that spark in you. Once you're a human being. Once you're a human being, that is there. No robot can have that. No AI can have that. We human beings have this dream in us. There's a song in us, there's a poem in us, there's a novel in us, there's a literature, there is art. Even for people who are not artistic. There is that human thing, it's there. All the poets have talked about it, all the great writers, all the philosophers, everybody talked about it. And we, as a company, as a movement, the Qualped Life, we see that in every human being. And because each individual has this asset, which is what it is, this genius, this inner potential, and this really and truly a desire for something to be made of our life. Because that is there, we invented a solution. We came up with a solution. And the solution that we came up with, we branded it the Qualped Life, right? And that's what the show is about. Now, what happens this is the problem we're solving. What happens with us when we face ourselves and we realize that this genius is in us, this light is in us, this big potential is there, but we can't express it. We can't achieve it. It's too hard because we got to go out there and pay bills, and we can't write a book. We can't even do poetry because we're not talented. We can't write a song because we don't have time to practice musical instrument and be musicians. We can't develop talent. Even as children, whatever we were good at, most people just abandon it. Teenagers, starting adulthood, and thinking I gotta shed stuff because I have responsibility. I'm gonna have a family, and I gotta get a job and go to college and prepare for a career and all those things. And so life becomes what my previous generation did. I'm gonna do the same thing, or follow along with what society says. And so what happens, we start stifling that inner genius, that inner light, that seed that is planted in our soul from our parents passed it on to us. We were born with it. God gave it to us. Whether we believe in God or not, that thing is in us. And that's what we see. But what happens to the human being is that we stifle it, we push it down, we push it away. Now, that is not without consequence. When you take something that is embedded in your very DNA, in your gene, and you suppress it, which religion says to do. Religion says, be obedient and obey the rules and the laws and stuff without being creative. Don't you dare step out of, this is what happened to Western society, and Christianity collapsed. And now we have pop Christianity, which is a whole different ballgame. Morals and ethics went through the window. because they said to us, to humanity, to human beings, suppress, suppress, suppress. Suppress what's in there. Don't you dare dance. Don't you dare step out of line. Don't you go create literature like Tom Sawyer and all those books, because they're bad things. You know how many books were banned? Because back in the day, society was so righteous. If you're not righteous, we're gonna ban you. We're gonna outcast. You're gonna be outcast and excommunicated. So we became a society that started suppressing things, suppressing who we are. Now, of course, in the 60s, and as time moved and capitalism and materialism took over, we saw revolutions happen, like sexual revolution happened, and people started swearing more in movies. People were more self-expressed, and in comedy they said whatever they felt, and suddenly there was no restraint anymore. There was decadence and hedonism and debauchery, and so people went the other way. The music became lewd and wicked and dark, very gothic, right? Movies, books too as well, like the teen books, the young adult books are really dark stuff. Think about Twilight series and all those things with vampires and all that. So we went into a place where for hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 years, since the Roman Empire, there was this idea that you suppress who you are. This genius that is in you, this creativity, this spark, this thing in our heart that is saying, I can be more than I am. We suppressed it. We pushed it down. And there's a consequence to that. The consequence is despair. The consequence is that we became people who stared into a darkness, stared into a despair that frightened us. We became scared. The average human being on the face of this planet is scared of living to their potential. I'm down to you and I'm down to me. We are scared to step up and live to our potential. And we might deny it. But why don't we live to our potential? Why don't we step out and say, I can do something great? Why do we say, oh, let me live the ordinary life. Let me be a normal person. Let me be mundane and mediocre. Because that's easy to do. Nobody ruffles your feathers if you do that. But you step out and try to do something, even doing what we're doing. It's not an easy thing. You gotta face all kinds of stuff. From people. People are difficult. Human beings are very difficult. And so, we have this thing in us, right? And this spark, this light, this genius, this demon, this muse that is there pushing us, fighting to get out. That spirit of us that says you can be such a fantastic human being. You can make a mark before you leave this earth. But we can't. We suppress it. And that causes, the consequence of that is huge despair. We have a flood of despair in our soul. We feel it in a longing, in a sadness, in a melancholy, in a kind of well, really and truly it's despair. The word is despair. You can't run away from it. We feel despair and we go and numb it. We do different things, including getting busy and getting into activity. And somebody might go home from work, used to be, not now, at a factory job for 8 hours. They work there for 10 years, and they go home and they face suddenly, wow, my life, 8 years I've done this, and I come home to this house and I watch TV. Instead of facing themselves, they would go get busy and start doing renovations. People would say, oh, that's a nice member of society. They work at a job, they pay their bills, they're coming home and doing renovations in their house. But already they're running away from themselves. And what do I mean by that is that they live a mundane, mediocre life, a machine life, a robotic life. It's not a human we're dealing with anymore. We're dealing with a suppressed human, a human that has become subhuman. You become a product. Society called us products. Society called us consumers. Society called us, we became numbers. We became social insurance number. We became statistic. We became a member of the census form. We dehumanize the human being. Because what is in us is lost. How many people out there would write a song or produce a poem? T.D. Jakes and Miles Monroe, two famous church people. They keep saying over and over, whenever they talk to a whole crowd of people, they would say, the richest people are in the grave. Think of it. The richest people are in the cemetery. They go there with their poems, they go there with their music, they go there with their books, they go there with their paintings, they go there with their art. So, my friends, who I said, please watch my show, and this is what we're talking about. Here's what we're talking about. We are bringing a solution that to make a dent, make a carve into this despair of the human soul, and cause that little spark, that little genius in us, that thing that says, I can fly, I can soar, I can aim for greatness. I might fail in every, I'm a big thinker. This is me being me now. I think very, very big. When I come up with a project, it's humongous. It's really big. And since I'm a youth, since I'm like teens when I got into the art of war, and back in the founded a national newspaper, and I did a lot of big stuff even in Canada. I never set out to live just to get a house and a car, and that's it. I aim for big things, but it's not easy to do that, and all of it I failed. Every single thing that I've set out that is big in terms of my goals. Right now I've lived a good life. I enjoy my life. I've achieved my bucket list and everything. But in every single big goal that I have, it was unachievable. It was so big that I failed at it. I failed completely at it, including being founder of a newspaper, of a TV company, of TV production company, of a community newspaper here, TV websites, different things. I founded several different things, and I feel that I failed at them because they were so big. The goals were so big that my life kept evolving, that I never achieved the things that I set out to do. And when I talk to people about these big things, like if somebody walks in here and I start talking to them about something we're doing, for example, rolling out our ebook division of the company. We're launching a division to do multimedia interactive ebooks, Sims books. And so I said to a few people, a couple of people at least, come join me on this, writers, right? I said to them, come join me on it, and let's develop this thing together. It's a huge opportunity, and we can really dominate the space of ebooks if we do this right. But when you talk to people like that, especially we're not big, we're ordinary, right? We're just starting this thing, and we're organizing for post-COVID. We're a startup company, by the way, doing technology and all that, but also media. So I would say to everybody, because this is what I see human beings are. If I look at you, I'm looking at you and seeing that light in that spark in your being. I'm seeing the potential that is there. I'm seeing in this person is that seed in their heart and their soul, and that's what I'm going to speak to. I'm going to speak to this person's amazing, astonishing potential as a human being. Now, the person could be as messed up as ever. The person could no self-belief, no self-confidence, life beat up on them, people were disappointing them, but I would still speak to them like that. I would say, you need to get a book out. Your story is so amazing. However bad this story might sound, however traumatized they might be, I would say, just do a book, do a movie, do a documentary, get something out where you self-express, and you'll see the difference in your life, right? Even this talk show is starting to make a difference in my own life, my own thinking, my own self-image, because I'm self-expressed. I come here every day and I express myself, and I'm being very authentic, I'm very real, right? I'm not sugarcoating anything. We're having a conversation, and the conversation is as real as ever. And what I'm doing here is what I do with everybody. I say, here's a huge, big opportunity. And you know what will happen, of course. I'm not scared if they say yes and I have to deliver. I'm good if they say yes, because we're going to work together to build something big. But most people, 99% of the people say no. The ones who didn't say no are shareholders in the company. The ones who said 99% of the people say no because they're scared. The despair is there. They're thinking, I can't do this. I can't listen to that voice in me that says I have a spark, I have a genius. I can't do that. That's not true. That voice, that embedded thing in my heart, that light, that spark, it can't be true. Because all my life I've been mediocre and mundane, and life is not about big things. It's about small things. I gotta pay my bills, and I gotta, do what everybody else is doing. You telling me about something big and huge, something is wrong with you. And that's the reaction I get, which is fine. But so recognizing that, Recognizing that people feel they can't self-express, they can't even dare to even tap into that gene, that genetic DNA embedded great, well, how should I put it? Seed of greatness that is in us, as just in being a human being. And the world system beats up on us so much that we say, especially as people get older, they become so cynical. And people say, I don't trust, it's hard for me to trust people. What a phrase. Can you imagine a human being walking around saying, it's hard for me to trust people? Or I'm paranoid about this or that, or I'm cynical. Because they've lost control of themselves. They've lost control of their mind. They can't even think. Older people are like this. They can't think that life is a wonder. Life is well, not everybody, of course. There is the exception, but I'm talking generally. Older people are like, you know what? I give up. My dreams are over. I can't achieve my dreams. Even teens now are doing that, or in 20s. By the time somebody gets to their mid-20s or 30s, they give up. Most people give up. 7.8 billion people on the planet, and most of them give up. Now, this is heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And I cannot live my life with integrity and face myself if I'm to say, I'm a Canadian, I live in Canada, I can relax and just drive a nice car and live in a nice house and go on vacation, and then one day buy a spot in the cemetery for $6,000 or $10,000, whatever it is, have a nice headstone and go there when I'm dead. What kind of a human being would I be? I read too much literature to be such a person. Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, I delve into the human heart when I encounter the canon of man. I was talking to a friend from New York today. I don't know if she's watching, but she said to me, the way you talk like you are better than other people. And that's disappointing to hear, because in no shape or form do I think I'm better than anybody. However, there's Tom and Jones, right? Tom is reading 10 books a year. Jones is reading nothing. Doesn't Tom he would have something more to say. It's not that he's better than Jones, but he would have more substance. Don't interpret that as me thinking I'm better than you or better than other people, because I'm not. I see a situation in human nature where we, for all the time we've been on the face of the earth, only a few people have been able to express themselves, this genius in them, this muse, this creativity, this spark, this light has been able to come forth and be a benefit to the whole human race. Like the Olympic athletes, they achieve it. Professors, they achieve it. They could stand in front of a classroom and teach. Authors who write books, they achieve it because they write from, a mass of readers. Leaders, entrepreneurs, business people who achieve amazing things, who put out solution, not just grabbing money, but put out solution into the society, they've achieved it. Right? Priests, pastors, people who set out to impact the world with morals, and ethics, they achieve it. So a lot of people do achieve it, but a lot more don't achieve it. We go to our grave with this innate divine spark in our heart, in our soul, in our spirit, and it's lost. This, my friend, is what quality life is all about. This is what the quality life is. It's for you to ignore all the rubbish and garbage and toxic stuff that this world system and culture and tradition and parents and always have dumped on you, and you're hiding under a whole garbage of stuff that you need to shake off and free yourself so you can fly, so you can soar, so you can go after your dreams. That's what we're about. That's the bullseye that we're aiming at. We want to speak to that part of the human heart that people ignore and drown and numb and cover up, and they're scared and they run from their own inner heart and soul and spirit. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. We want to speak to the people who are saying, I want to achieve something great in my life. I want to achieve my potential. I don't want to live an ordinary life. We want to speak to the people. We are speaking to the people who are hungry, who would not take no for an answer. Who would not take no for an answer? You remember the movie The Karate Kid? The little guy went to the master and he said, teach me. I want to learn, because he was being bullied in school. And the master said, no, I'm not interested. And he kept saying no, and he kept saying no. The little guy never gave up. He was hungry. He was hungry. And he kept hitting, he kept coming, he kept knocking on the guy's door. He kept at it, he kept at it, he kept at it. Then the guy said, walks the car. Remember that story? Walks in, it walks on, walks on, walks off, walks on. And he was thinking, why? I came here to learn to fight. I came here to learn karate and some martial arts skills. Why is he having me walks in his car? The master was teaching him the skill of blocking, right? Walks off, walks on, walks off, walks off. He was teaching him the muscle memory to block in fighting. My point is, in literature and movie you can learn so much, but my point is, if you're not, we want to find the people who are really, really hungry. You look inside yourself. Every human being looks inside themselves and they say something is there. But you know what? Most people say, you know what? I can't follow it up. I can't do anything with it. I'm going to just let it die. It's okay. Life is what it is and I can't do anything. Very, very few, the minority. So let's say we have 7.8 billion people on the planet. And even if 1 million out of 7.8 billion would say, I want to develop this spark. If 100,000 people, if 10,000 people, if 1,000 people say to us, we want to develop this spark, how do we work together? How do we do that? How do we achieve our potential? How do we fly? How do we soar? How do we become the human being that we created to be? Those are the people we're talking about. Those are the people I want watching this show. The people who are not scared of their own, what is in their own soul and heart, who are facing it with courage and say, yes, I'm going to do this. The only problem is I don't know how. And we research and we delve into wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and we find out how to bring you to a place where you are on the summit of the mountain instead of the foot of the mountain, where you achieve your human potential. This is what I'm setting out to do. Would I fail? I don't know. Maybe I would. But the journey, my friend, the process is astonishing. And I'm going to pass this on to my offspring. I'm going to pass it on to my future generations. How I am. And I have no apologies for this. I don't think, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But this is what moves me. This is what makes me full of so much life and energy when I wake up in the morning. If I weren't doing this, I'd be writing books, but still, I would be so caught up in a cage of despair, a world of darkness. But by me expressing this desire to do what I can to bring another human being along this journey with me, to achieving our potential and maximizing who we are, to lift ourselves from ordinariness into an extraordinary place at the top of the mountain. We belong as individuals. Yes, the summit of the mountain is a narrow point, but at the individual, your life belongs at the top of the mountain when you leave this earth. Not below there running around in the rat race like a chicken scratching about for worms. We're eagles. We're eagles. We gotta fly. We're above the storms of life. This is the message we have. That's why I said to my friends, please watch my show. This is why I'm answering your question. This is why. Watch the show. And join me and let's do this. Because if you have that spark in you, I'm talking to only those people. Everybody has the spark, but only those people who would say, yes, I want to do this. Yes, I'm hungry for this. No, I'm not scared. But even if I'm scared, I'm going to get over it. We're going to come alongside you and we're going to learn to do this. How to do this. The how is where we come together. The why, the fact that it is already there, is a done deal. The how is what is important. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on. One more point before I wrap up tonight's show Tomorrow we have a guest, and thank you, Mano. Tomorrow we have a guest, and tomorrow's Thursday, and Friday we have a guest, and then on Monday we have a guest as well, and hopefully those go really really well, and I hope they're watching the show actually, so they get a gist of where this whole thing is going, this crazy conversation that we're starting up. I want to really play on the global stage with conversations like this. It has nothing to do with me. If somebody else can do it and they can do it better than me, in fact, I'm looking for that, for me to step back from this lights and let somebody else take over the show and run it, so I can travel and do my thing and do more writing. But whether I have to do it or not, whether I have to sit here and whether I have to commit to it day by day by day by day until we develop the team who can take over, it doesn't matter to me. I'm committed to this, and I'm going to do it by God's grace and make it happen. And I'm looking for the few people in the human race who say my nature, in my nature, is this thing, this genius, this seed, this light, this divine spark. And that's what I want to develop. That's what I want to bring to this stage that we call life. And let's do it. Let's do it. Now, let me segue into a different point, which today's show was really supposed to be about, but we spent half the show talking about the Qualpen life and why these people I asked to watch it should watch it. We're going to say some strange thing on this show. You're going to hear some strange, when you read my books, even more strange stuff. But the books that are coming out are normal books. My novel, it's out of this world. Nightmares of Knowledge, and the sequel to that, nine volumes, which is my life project. So the strange idea I want to talk about today is this. We know that we believe in the individual, and all we are speaking to is the individual. We're not speaking to family, we're not speaking to tribe, we're not speaking to nationality, we're not speaking to a crowd of people or a stereotype of people. We're speaking to an individual human being who stands there as a human being, facing their inner potential, facing that divine spark, facing that light that is there. I'm not saying I'm going to cover it up because I can't do it. I'm going to numb myself and I'm going to drown myself in life and activity, and then one day my heart gives out. We want the individual who looks at themselves and say, you know what? I have this divine spark in me. I want to soar. I want to fly. I want to end my days on the summit of the mountain, not the foot of the mountain. I want to be that eagle, that lone eagle that fly up there and enjoy the purity of the air. How do we go about doing that? The first question, of course, is what resources do we have? So you come to us, and the first question people think we say, you need money. If you don't have money, don't come to us. You gotta pay for our courses, you gotta pay for our books, you gotta pay for our training, our workshops, you gotta pay for our coaching and all that. We're not saying that at all. We have one philosophy. Well, we have several branches we have our own philosophy, our own way of seeing life, our perspective, our worldview. And the worldview, of course, centers on everything involved. Everything is wrapped up in the individual, you as individual. If your life is messed up, you're the cause. We believe that. You have to take responsibility. No matter what happens to you, it's how you react to things, not what happens to you. And your reaction is entirely up to us, right? We are the ones who are self-leaders for our lives. Now, if I'm disabled, if something happens to me that I can't use my arms or I can't use my brain or whatever, then it's a different story. But I'm talking to those people who have their faculties together. Once your faculties are together, you're not, your mind is sound, there is not severe mental health or, some form of disability where you're dependent on other people. Then that's different. So what I'm talking about here is the average person who is able to face life and say, I'm going to invent a solution and I'm going to be able to put it out in the world and, hopefully find a momentum to spread it globally on the internet, in the digital age. So we believe in the individual, that no matter what, the individual can do this. The individual is empowered if we take empowerment, if we develop ourselves, if we practice self-care, self-development, self-mastery, and we go about in self-expression, being in the world, right? The place that we move from, people come to me, my friends were saying, why should I watch the show? The next question I know they will ask is, okay, so you talk about all these things, maximizing my potential, self-actualization, living for my aspirations, going after the tertiary concerns, the high concerns of life, like giving back to humanity. How do I do that? I don't have money for it. I don't have the skills. I don't have the talent. I don't have the team. I don't have the resources that I need. I can't fly without a plane. I can't be on top of the mountain if I don't have a way to, beat gravity and end up there. Well, legitimate questions, right? We're being real here. We're being authentic. We're not preaching fantasy. We're talking here about life and how to do life and how to be real. And the strange idea I want to put out there today is this, which is not that strange because it doesn't come from me. It comes from life coaching and people out there in the world who actually show the path, the how of achieving, of self-actualization, of living for our aspirations, and of achieving the highest concerns that we have as human beings. The highest concern being, of course, to let this divine spark live. Don't let it become numb or die or go to the grave. Let it live. Let it direct our life. Let it cause us to soar. The place that we start from, my friend, the place that we start from is astonishing. The place is nothingness. Absolutely nothing. Don't think that you need money. Don't think that you need resources or you need to be a Bill Gates or an Elon Musk. Don't think that you need to come from a rich family. Don't think even if you're in Africa or India Africa and India not poor anymore, some parts, but wherever you're from, whoever you are, whatever your family went through, whatever you faced in life or didn't face, if your life has been boring and in apathy, even those people, you can achieve what we're talking about. You can achieve what we're talking about. You can end up on the summit of the mountain. And you start from zero. You start from nothing. So the first thing that we do in our program, the first thing that we do in everything that we developed for a qualified life, the whole lifestyle, is that the starting point is zero. You abandon everything in you. You abandon, not abandon, but you clear your mind. Your mind has to be clear. So here is the metaphor for it. To write a new book, you need a blank page. You can't write a new book if the page is not blank. If the page has scratches, it has stuff already on it, you either have to clean the page or get a fresh page. You can't paint a great artwork, a great painting, except you have a blank canvas. If a canvas is there and it already has stuff in it, you can't paint. You gotta erase that, or deface it, or paint over it. But you need a blank canvas. Life is about a blank slate. It's about taking our mind to a place where it is completely clear. And this, of course, Dianetics dealt with. I was talking to a friend again today who's talking about Dianetics and L. Ron Hubbard. L. Ron Hubbard is the founder of Scientology, the religion, which all the Hollywood people used to be a part of back in the day. And they had a whole bunch of scandals. I happen, one of the blessings in my life is I happen to have read this book, which I still have. It's huge, called Dianetics, which is the kind of Bible for Scientology. And the first thing that book talks about is a clear mind, which gave me the idea back when I was really, really young, late teens, I think, that you have to clear the mind. If you don't clear the mind, then I've lived with it for the rest of my life, up to now. You have to clear your mind. Your mind has to be like a blank slate. It has to be like a blank page before you can put a story on it. It has to be like a blank canvas. It has to be like a blank piece of land before you build your house on. The architect doesn't look at the It doesn't build a blueprint for something that is already there. The architect builds a blueprint for a building out of imagination, out of thin air, out of the land being empty, right? The first place we start from is nothingness. We have to get to that place where we say all the things that we learn, we have to unlearn, or we have to see them in perspective. We have to see that all the emotional baggage, all the toxic stuff, all the past, what it did to us, including generational stuff. We have to shed all those things. So part of this process of how do we achieve this noble endeavor of developing this spark that is in us, the how of it is first of all shedding all the baggage, shedding all the dead weight, cleaning out everything from the mind and the emotions that are not pushing us forward, pushing us up, but they're pulling us down. And so the concept of nothingness is a key vital concept. We practice and we advocate for a state of, and I gotta be careful how I say these things. It's not like I'm saying total darkness. I don't mean nothingness as in darkness. I mean nothingness as in being a cleanliness, that there's no clutter, there is no garbage, there's no rubbish, it's totally spotlessly clean. Our mind, our emotion, our spirit, our soul. And from there, we can construct, we can cultivate the garden of our life into fruitfulness. So you can hear me talk a lot, if you follow the show, about this thing, you know, nothingness. It comes out of life coaching. I took a course in Toronto years ago in ontological coaching, which is a type of life coaching. And this is one of the things that came out of that, which I really believe in, even after Bible college, that we have to first of all become a blank slate, or become a blank page is the more appropriate way to say it if we are authoring our future. You start to author your future not from where we are right now, but from going back and cleaning all that stuff out. From a place of nothingness, from a place of blank paper, blank canvas. We go into our imagination and we find out what's there. We find out what's in our imagination. What can we come up with? What is possible? We brainstorm this thing. So you join us, you come with us. There's that process of brainstorming, of researching, of a mea culpa, of going inside of us and finding out what is there. The examined life, right? Like Socrates said. We go into examining what is there, and then what we find, we tear down what has to be teared down, we pull out what has to be pulled out, we clear space. And once space is cleared, this is the individual we're talking about, the mental space, the emotional space, the psychological space. Then we start to construct this life out of the spark that is in the human heart that says, I was born for something meaningful. I was born for something substantial. I was born for something great. The human being. Imagine how they're making robots like Sophia the robot, which they're now rolling out, I think in Japan. They're rolling out a factory to make robots, and they would clothe them with human looking, there's a name for it, human form, whatever it is. But the robot comes out with all the electronics and the metal and stuff is inside. And what you see is a face, you see eyes, you see mouth. Sophia, Google her and see. She gives talk shows and she has a Facebook profile. She's a robot. And with AI and robot, we're going to see these very, very intelligent beings like Robotics Dynamic, I think the company is called, has these dogs out in New York now doing law enforcement. They raided somebody's apartment who was doing drugs, things like that. These AIs, I don't know what to call them, living machines, robots, are going to be so intelligent, and they're going to be so efficient and so competent. So you want to tell me that a human being is less than these robots? I refuse to believe that. And we are living into the digital age where we have to step up. And back in 1962, there was a guy named Doug Engelbart. Doug Engelbart, Google him if you want to know more, wrote a paper, an essay, which became the foundation paper along with Vannevar Bush's essay, which he wrote in 1945, called As We May Think. So the name of these two papers are As We May Think, which Vannevar Bush published in 1945 after World War II, and then the second paper came out in 1962 called Augmenting Human Intellect. Augmenting Human Intellect, and As We May Think, and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Wozniak and all those guys, they took hold of these papers and developed a personal computer. That's where, out of the brainchild, the imagination, the writing of Doug Engelbart and Vannevar Bush came personal computers and the internet. Well, maybe not the internet, but definitely personal computers. Keyboard, mouse, all that came from this paper. The reason I'm saying this is this. Those guys talk about As We May Think and augmenting human intellect. This is 2021. We're in the 21st century. And we're going to have robots replacing us in our jobs. We're going to have robots serving at restaurants. We have robot AI right now writing novels and books and newspaper articles. A lot of the stuff that you read on online media now are written by AI writers, like artificial intelligent writing software that came out of something called GPT-3, which was released recently, last year, and now we're working on GPT-4, which would release artificial intelligence that would do graphic design, and would do photography, and would do videos. Believe it or not, this is coming. I think they're releasing it spring next year, I think, GPT-4. My point is, we can't be left behind. If AI and robots and artificial intelligence and virtual reality would be more smart than us, would be smarter than us, then who are we as human beings? We can't accept that. We got to go back to Engelbart's paper that said augmenting human intellect. And we got to augment our intellect, not only with external technology, but with internal development, self-development. And we have to listen to Vannevar Bush, what he said in his paper. As we may think, how are we thinking? What intelligence are we approaching this life with? That's the space we're carving out for ourselves. Nobody's having this kind of conversation, right? People might say, oh, you're boring, you're doing this for an hour, and nobody's going to listen to it because it's way too, there's too much dense stuff in there. You got to lighten stuff. People say that to me. They say you got to lighten it up. Make it 5 minutes, make it 10 minutes. One of my shareholders called and said, make it 5 minutes. No, he didn't. Sorry. I should apologize for that. He said, chop your videos up in 5 minutes and share 5 minute tidbits on YouTube, which is good to promote it. But my desire is that we would find the people who would listen to us for an hour and find joy in what we're saying and want to go into themselves and say, you know what, this guy is talking about. I think that's what I want from my life. And I'm very conscious that a lot of people don't even know these things as yet. Like I didn't know them for a long time. They're in a space of we don't know what we don't know. Right? We don't know what we don't know. That's the space we're operating in. And so a lot of what we say would be new things to people, would be an awakening, would be like Croydon was saying yesterday on the show, an aha moment, an epiphany. And people would say, we are, in other words, awakening human consciousness to those few who would resonate with what we're talking about this idea that within us is this genius, this demon, this muse, this spirit, this light, this little spark in our soul, a seed in our heart of greatness, of wanting to do more as a human being, of wanting to fly, of wanting to be on top of the mountain. That's why we watch movies. That's why we admire Hollywood stars and these big mega stars, because we live through them, our dreams. We look at people who achieve amazing, astonishing human feats, and we think, oh, I identify with that person even though I can't be that person, or I can't be like that person, or I can't achieve those things. But they achieve it, and it satisfies this longing in me to achieve that thing. But for me to go do it, that's hard. I'm going to settle in my despair, or I'm going to get rid of the despair by numbing myself, by drowning any feeling. any facing of myself. We see that spark in us, and that's the bullseye we're aiming for. I want to see that spark in your heart, that seed in your soul, rise up and grow and mature and be cultivated and bear fruit. That's my goal. That's what we're doing this show about. And it starts from a place of absolute nothingness. You don't need money, you don't need fancy house clothing, you don't need big rich friends, you don't need to come from a rich family, you don't need anything. Come with nothing. The people I would like to work with. And I should say this, I mean, certain things we can't say publicly, but I should say this. I went to in my city, I spoke to the mayor, I spoke to people on the council, informally, no official stuff. I spoke to the librarian, the chief librarian, a couple of years ago, and said to them, the people on the street, the homeless people on the street, they don't have anything. They don't own a house, they don't own a car, they don't clothing they don't own, because you gotta gather up clothing for them, like in the winter, people would go get socks and sweaters and stuff and share it out to them. They have nothing. These are people who fell through the cracks because of drugs and mental health and basic poverty, right? They fell on hard times. But I said to these officials, I really did say to these officials, even my Rotary Club, which I got very, and I'm going to say this publicly, I got very disappointed with them, because I said to everybody, I went to people who I could talk to. Maybe I wasn't articulate, maybe I didn't say it in a way that they would understand it, because I wasn't expressing myself well. I think that happened. But anyway, I went to these people and I said to them, these guys and women, especially the young people on the street, they have absolutely nothing, right? They agreed. Everybody agreed. They have nothing. I used to go out with my church and stuff and help feeding programs and do things like that. So I got to know a lot of these people on the street, and they got to know me as casual acquaintance. And I said, let's do something. They have one thing. They have one thing that we also have. Every human being shares this thing, which is their story. And their story is dramatic, it's narrative, because they fell through the crack. They fell through the safety nets of society. They fell to the hardest thing you could think of, right? Their life is a movie, their life is a Netflix show. Every single person on the street, their life is a Netflix show. It's a book, it's a drama, it's a stage play. Every human being, your story is so dramatic, it's a narrative drama. And of course nobody took me seriously. All these politicians and these people that we talked to, they said, what are you talking about? That is so out of this world. Who comes and say, let's help homeless people tell their story, and that's going to be a way for them to recover their life? Nobody took me seriously. It was like an alien had dropped from the sky and had said, we're going to invade the earth. I got blank stares, people got upset. People said, how dare you talk about this thing? And eventually I gave up, which is bad of me. That's my failure too, I gave up on it. But I'm making a point that even the homeless people who have nothing, they're coming from a place of absolute nothing, and they also. So you don't need any platform from which to fly to the top of the mountain. Wherever you are, whatever has happened to you in life, we are here to say the how we can make it happen. We know how to make it happen. The whole company, the whole essence of our movement is the how of making this thing happen. Okay, so I gotta wrap up today. I hope I didn't go overboard with too dense and too, complicated stuff. But the video is gonna be there forever on YouTube and our website, our servers. It's always gonna be there, and Facebook as well, and different places. And this video, if you're watching it years from now, or 6 years from now, 10 years from now, 6 months from now, this video explains why we are setting out on this journey that we call it Quartet Life. Join us tomorrow. We're going to have a guest here, and hopefully we have a very inspiring conversation. Have a good evening, and take care.